I'm just going to give the chat a few minutes to see if people come in. You can hear the freeway in the background. Yeah, I need to purchase a mic that I really, really want. A new Wi-Fi system. Once we get some people in here, we'll find out if you guys can actually hear me. If you're watching this on the playback. Might be a little early in the day. We might have to come back like at night and do this. Well, come on. Come on, people. I know it's only 1:47 p.m. Pacific time. So it'd be 4:47 East Coast time. I'm sure a lot of people are going about their day. Probably really should have done this at night, but we will see. Doesn't hurt to try. Try, and try again. And if you don't succeed, keep trying. I see somebody's in here. I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes. Where are my 1,500 subscribers from around the world? Where are they right now? Well, that person dropped out. We will see. Another person dropped out. Let's get this thing going. We might just have to go later on. Yeah, it's probably a little too early for this. More people are available in the late afternoon and early evening. Let's see if anybody's out there. Type your name in the chat. Let's see who's out there. Let's get this thing going. If not, I'm going to come back later tonight. Yeah, we're already 3 minutes into it. I've just got people coming in and dropping out like really quick. We don't want 3 minutes of like, dead video time at the beginning of the video. Hey, 11 people, welcome. I'm April Davis from April Davis PI, and I'm just waiting for some people to come in. Please type your name into the chat. Let me know where you're at, where you're coming in from. I'm in Los Angeles, California. Beautiful, sunny, warm LA. Waiting to see if my mod's going to come in. 10 people. Let's hear where you're from, people. Gotta get somebody into the chat. Hi, Kennedy. Welcome. Can you hear me, Kennedy? Just let me know if you can hear me, okay? Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I can see it. I can see your name in the chat. How are you, Kelly? Can you hear me? Let me know, and we'll just get this started. Okay, I don't know what that means. Let me know, because I don't want to... You can hear. Okay. Yeah, this is going to be a really quick video. I'm just... I'm a little horrified, or I should say terrified, at the latest that I have heard. This news just came out yesterday. I don't know if you guys know who Jennifer Homendy is, or Homendy. She is the the head of the NTSB. She is the NTSB chair. And apparently this week she was in a hearing in Washington, D.C. that was about the Reagan National crash that involved the Army helicopter and the American Airlines that crashed over the Potomac. And she, oh, hey, Jennifer, nice to see you. Oh, hugs and kisses to you too. My friend, how have you been? I just, I know it's a little early to go on live like this, but I can barely sleep over this. I mean, this is a concern that I have had for years. And it has to do with being in close proximity to the Burbank Airport, also known as the Hollywood Burbank Airport, formerly known as Bob Hope Airport. They discontinued that name because nobody knew where the heck Bob Hope Airport was. But it's here in Los Angeles, actually in Burbank in the San Fernando Valley. And earlier last year, we had a near mid-air collision. I actually did a YouTube video. When this video is done and it uploads as live, I'll link it in the description of this video. But it's been a concern for years about the Burbank Airport because it's kind of tucked in next to a mountain, next to the Verdugo mountain range. It has a very short landing strip, and I'm on the pathway of the takeoff, but I'm also on a pathway when they have to do semi-reverse ops there. And I'll explain that later. But this Jennifer Homendy, who investigated the Kobe Bryant crash, she made this speech this week in D.C. Regarding the Washington crash. And she basically said, I keep hearing about other areas in the airspace where they are concerned. Burbank is one where commercial airlines have called me to say the next midair is going to be at Burbank, and nobody at the FAA is paying attention to us. NTSB Chair Jennifer Homendy said at a hearing referring to the FAA, so what it is involving helicopters, whether it is involving helicopters or not, people are raising red flags, and why aren't people listening? And then she goes on to say the FAA has to ensure safety. That is, oh, thanks, Jennifer. Thank you for the link. That's their job. And this thing that happened in Washington, D.C., like 67 people died. And it happened over the river, so people on the ground weren't killed, but there is no river here. Our LA River is a concrete ditch. That's the LA River. It fills up during a rainstorm, but it's a series of hundreds of miles of concrete ditches, and it's nowhere near the Burbank Airport. And me being on the takeoff pattern, they don't have reverse ops like they have at LAX where they reverse it during storms, because reverse ops would have to cause the planes to come over a mountain and they wouldn't be able to touch down on time. So it's sort of like a semi-reverse op where they come in the same way, but then at the last minute, they swoop around and they go really low over where I live at my lake house. And I have to tell you, sometimes it feels like when that happens that the planes are going to land on the roof. One night it happened. Oh, hey, Alaska Critter. Nice to see you. Hey, Busy. So I'm in the United States, Busy. I'm in Los Angeles, California. And this airport, this Hollywood Burbank Airport, which has gotten, bigger and bigger and bigger over the years with a lot more commercial flights, and it has a ton of cargo flights. Like every night around 7:30 to 7:45, I get a big FedEx plane and a big UPS plane, and it's heavy and it's low. We almost had a horrible fatal collision in 2025, but now this NTSB chair, and she knows what she's doing. She's been a top investigator for years. She's actually getting calls specifically from airlines saying that you have to do something about the Burbank Airport. And during that federal walkout where the federal government was closed because they weren't getting any funding, there were times where our airport here had no air traffic controllers. And that got posted on some of the local Facebook apps, like Toluca Lake and Friends, Next Door, which covers Toluca Lake, Studio City, Burbank, NoHo. And people were like, oh, that's not true. They can't run an airport without an air traffic controller. And the answer is, yes, they can. because they actually had a controller that was in a building in San Diego. Now, San Diego's about a 2 to 3 hour drive, depending on the traffic. It can be way longer than that, but it's at least 130, 140 miles from here. And so somebody sitting in a building in San Diego is not sitting in an air traffic control tower at the Burbank airport. So that was very scary when that happened. And I know that even after the government reopened, they're still having staffing issues. But for the head of the NTSB, the head of a federal government agency, to testify in front of, I guess it was Congress, to say that, hey, we're hearing from the airlines that this is not a safe airport. And, basically, if we have a midair collision, it's going to happen at the Hollywood Burbank airport. Well, is it going to happen during landing? Is it going to happen during takeoff? Is it going to happen 6 minutes into the flight like it almost happened last year, and by then the flight was already out over the 14? You'll have to see that video. That was very interesting because that was an old military plane that was privately owned that was coming in from Texas, coming into Camarillo. And over the mountains, they just and they just almost, and it was the Southwest that made evasive maneuvers to save the plane and save all the people. And on that flight, one of the flight attendants told some of the passengers that I'm never doing this job again. I'm quitting as soon as we land. I mean, it was horrific. And apparently, when that happened, they mentioned that there had been many near-air collisions that had happened within the last few months here at Burbank. And apparently, it happens all the time. Not every day, but it happens. Yeah, it is terrifying. And it's weird because, I don't want to go off the deep end here, but in my life, I've had a lot of what I call psychic dreams and vision dreams. And for years, and it doesn't happen every night or even every month, but for years, occasionally, I have these psychic dreams where I see a commercial plane landing or crashing into a neighborhood. And in these dreams, it's happening right in front of me, and I'm trying to run to get away from it. And sometimes it actually happens and I see it, and it's like something out of a movie. Like the special effects, it would be like spectacular. There's no way they could do those kind of effects in a movie. It seems so real. And then other times I'm running, but then I wake up because the plane is going to hit me, and I'm like, why am I having these dreams? I'm sure that means something that has nothing to do with airplanes, but I've had that dream for years, and it never involves LAX. It's always something here in the San Fernando Valley that is connected to the Hollywood Burbank Airport, and around here we all still call it Bob Hope. We still refer to his house down the street as, Bob Hope's house, and he's been dead for years. Like, oh, Bob Hope this, Bob Hope that. We do the same thing with Bing Crosby, the Bing Crosby estate, and he hadn't lived in that house since the biggest fire of Toluca Lake in the 1940s, I believe. It was the early 40s, late 30s, early 40s. People still refer to that house as the Bing Crosby estate, and the Bob Hope house, and the Bob Hope estate, and the Bob Hope airport, but now it's officially the Hollywood Burbank airport because they wanted people that weren't from LA to know that you can get to LA by landing at the Burbank airport. So it used to be the Burbank, Glendale, Pasadena airport or something like that, but that name was stupid because it's nowhere near Pasadena. I mean, it was dumb. But they've changed the names many times, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And it was specifically used years ago for Lockheed, and I did cases. I was a third-party vendor for Lockheed in the 1980s when my PI career was just starting. And this airport, which by the way was the airport where Amelia Earhart, who was a Tolucan, a fellow Tolucan, that's where she first learned to fly, was out of the Burbank airport. And I think she might have also taken a flight out of Long Beach, but she chose to live in Toluca Lake, California because she wanted to be near Burbank Airport, and she specifically wanted to be near Lockheed because she said they made the best planes in the world. And, she disappeared in a Lockheed Electra. And, That's why everything around here is like the Amelia Earhart, night school, the Amelia Earhart Library, the Amelia Earhart, there's parks, libraries, schools. There's a bronze statue of hers because she wanted to live in this neighborhood, which is very famous because she wanted to be near the Burbank Airport and Lockheed. And back in the 80s, all the Lockheed buildings, oh, thanks for the red hearts. Oh, you get realistic, scary dreams like that too. That's why you didn't sleep last night. I know the feeling. So it's weird that I've had these like psychic dreams for years. And then often since I've lived in the San Fernando Valley, which has been most of my life, I've heard these stories about these near mid-air collisions. And then, we had the government shutdown and we had no air traffic controller, and people didn't believe that an airport of that size with that amount of air traffic had no actual controller sitting in the tower. And it was true, they didn't. But now when you have the head of the NTSB, Jennifer Homendy, saying that the next mid-air collision is going to happen at the Burbank Airport, she didn't say it in this words, but she didn't say it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But it's kind of like, Dr. Lucy Jones talking about the big one. It's not a matter of if it's going to happen, it's just a matter of when it's going to happen. And they've talked about this for years, but apparently with the increase in air traffic around here, there's been more incursions. And those don't always get into the news. I mean, the one that involved the military flight out of Texas, that was a private plane. I think it was from the 40s. You'll have to see the video. It's a very interesting video. And thank you, Jennifer, for linking it here. I'll also link it in the description of this video once this live uploads. It takes YouTube a while to upload the lives. Oh, how far from that am I? A bunch of people just walked through the lobby. Probably less than 3 miles. Yeah. They're still very, very low when they fly over my house. In fact, the Dodgers use that airport a lot. They used to use solely LAX, but now they use the Burbank Airport a lot. There's a lot of Dodgers that live in this area now. It used to be Manhattan Beach, used to be the little Dodger enclave, but those days are long gone. A lot of them live in, Studio City, Toluca Lake, the San Fernando Valley, Glendale, just north of the stadium. A lot of them live out in La Cañada, Flint Ridge. And so the Burbank Airport a lot of times is used, and many times I can actually hear the Dodger plane coming because we don't have that many 767s that fly out of there. And when they land, it's like landing on a postage stamp, because they've got to hit it at just the right pace, the right speed, because if they don't, they're going to run off the runway. And that actually happened once, and a plane landed at the Chevron gas station, which is no longer there. And the plane actually split in half when it went through the fence and jumped the curb. And they just had the anniversary of that, and people around here were all talking like, hey, remember when the Southwest from Vegas came in and they overshot the runway and they went through the fence and they landed on Hollywood Way. Like, they even have a padding at the end of the runway now. And the first plane that ever hit that was carrying baseball player Alex Rodriguez on a private jet, and it saved his life. It's a very, very short runway. And you have that, and also the runways, unlike LAX where you have 4 runways, but they're all parallel. There's like 2, and then the airport's in the middle with the terminals, and then there's another 2, so you have the north runways and the south runways, but they're all running in the same direction. Burbank isn't like that. Burbank has only 2 runways, and they cross, they intersect like this. So, people are landing this way, but they're taking off this way. So, it's scary because they don't land in the same direction that they take off. So these runways, they're kind of like this as they intersect, and it has to be timed just perfectly because you have planes coming in and they cross this one, and then you have planes taking off. It's an accident waiting to happen. But she wasn't talking about a ground incursion, Jennifer Homendy. She was talking about a mid-air collision, and that multiple airlines have reported to her that something needs to be done by the NTSB about the Burbank Airport, because they believe, as they put it here, the chair of the National Transportation Safety Board on Tuesday expressed concerns over the dangerous possibility of the next deadly mid-air collision happening at Hollywood Burbank Airport. The NTSB chair says it's commercial airlines that are sounding the alarm, and says the FAA should take the warnings from airlines seriously. I keep hearing about other areas in the airspace where they are concerned. Burbank is one where commercial airlines have called me to say the next midair is going to be at Burbank. Nobody at the FAA is paying attention to us. Scary, scary, scary. Oh yeah, that's a good, I don't know what they're called. That's a good word, bumpers. Yeah, they're little rubber things, and they put it right in after that Southwest overshot the runway. And it was funny because when the plane came to a stop 5 feet from a gas tank, the pilot said, "Well, there goes a career." And then they couldn't get the front door of the plane open because the emergency slide, somehow blew up inside the aircraft. So you've just been in a plane crash and you can't get out the front door of the plane because the emergency slide has blown up inside the cabin. So they had to go to the back of the plane, and people didn't know, like, what the heck is going on, and a lot of people were sleeping, and then they landed like really hard, and everybody was just like, what? And then the plane went through the fence, jumped the curb, pulled into the gas station, and some people didn't realize, they thought it was just a hard landing. They didn't realize that the plane had actually crashed. And why are we going down the slide? And why are we smelling jet fuel? Well, that's because the fuselage was cracked in half and it was leaking jet fuel. It actually hit a Ford Expedition that was going down Hollywood Way, but it just clipped it. It was a miracle. And they were like, well, where's the airport? And they're like, oh, well, we're going to have to get a bus and drive you back to the airport. Like, what? Some of these people didn't realize that the plane was no longer at the airport, that the plane had touched down at the airport, but when it actually came to a stop, it was on Hollywood Way pulling into a gas station. So, yeah, rubber baby bumpers, or rubber baby buggy bumpers, yep. Sounds like something off a Tom Cruise or Dwayne Johnson movie. It was pretty funny when that happened, when the pilot was just like, well, there goes a career. But yeah, this is, I don't want to get too much into this because I don't want to be like gloom and doom here. But it's weird that I've had these mid-air collision dreams or plane crash dreams for years. And it always takes place here in the San Fernando Valley. It always has to do with a plane either coming into or going out of Burbank Airport. And I'm like, oh my God, here it comes. And it's just it's like something out of a movie, but there's no way a movie could make it look that real. It's like it really happened. And because I've had psychic dreams in the past, I always wondered, well, am I seeing things into the future? And I'm going to be walking down the street someday, and I'm not in a car when it happens. I'm walking outside, and I'm trying to run to get out of the way. And now, it's like life imitating art, with this Jennifer Homendy saying that the next mid-air collision is going to be at the Burbank Airport. Yeah, it was so weird. A while back they had a reverse ops, which I really shouldn't say reverse ops because that's not how they do it. But they had to land, sideways basically. And I had a JetBlue that came over from Kennedy, and it darn near took off the roof. And I remember looking at the flight radar thinking, what the heck was that? Why was that plane so low? It was super low. And I thought, just less than 5.5 hours ago, those people were on the ground in New York City, and now they've almost landed on my roof here in Los Angeles. Wow, that was low. And my pets, they notice it when there's the reverse ops. They're out looking out the window, looking up airplane. They know, because it's super low, and it's usually during a rainstorm or a windstorm. It's kind of scary, but I I don't know. I didn't need to hear this week. I mean, I know I've always kind of known that this could happen, but this bugs me a lot. This bugs me a lot. And I hope that, her pleading to the federal government that, hey, we need to do something about this. I hope that somebody does something about this. We need more air traffic controllers. We need something. We have a broken system. These fellows and these men and women are overworked. They're stressed. The fact that it doesn't happen more often, it's a tribute to them at how good they are at their jobs. But this situation here locally in LA, this part of LA in the Valley, it's an accident waiting to happen. If you don't believe me, look at the video that I'm going to link. I think my mod Jennifer linked it earlier too. It's really, really scary that now you've got someone in the federal government who is a the highest person in the NTSB saying that the next collision is going to happen at the Burbank airport. Like last year when we had that near collision, and they said, oh, that's like the 6th incident or something this year. Like I was like, oh my God, like it's worse than I thought. And I know it's happened before where like a smaller aircraft, because we're very close to Van Nuys when it comes to miles, and that's one of the largest non-commercial airports in the world with private planes and corporate jets. And they've actually had to change the altitude at that airport. Planes have to actually be lower around that airport now so that the planes going into Burbank, that they don't have an incursion. Because it's super close airwise. It's like 8-9 miles away. And I just, I don't want to be, the messenger of doom and gloom. I don't want anything bad to happen in my neighborhood. I don't want anything bad to happen anywhere in the country or the world. But, I have to live here, and I have to hear these planes coming over one after the other, after the other, after the other. And I just hope that our government, as messed up as it is right now, I hope they listen to this Jennifer Homendy, and they take her information seriously, because when you have the pilots, the actual airlines calling the NTSB to complain, saying, hey, this is a problem and you need to address this or else, the federal government, they need to listen. So yeah, it's a crazy world. I saw on one of the local apps, somebody had posted it right after I saw it on Toluca Lake and Friends. And some guy was like, great, now I have this on my bingo card for 2026. Like, it's always been there, buddy. I guess a lot of people just weren't aware until yesterday. So, I don't know. I'm sure there's something more interesting to talk about, but hopefully people will, the federal government will do what needs to be done, and they'll get more air traffic controllers out here. Because if you've ever looked at one of those like flight apps like FlightAware, Flight Radar, and you see how many planes are in the sky at one time, it's a miracle that tragedy doesn't happen more often. Anyway, thanks for coming in, especially my mods. I appreciate you. Thank you to all the new people that came in. Make sure, if you're not already subscribed, that you hit that subscribe button. Feel free to place the comments in the comment section once the video uploads. And it was nice seeing you again, Jennifer. If you're still here, I haven't heard from you in so long. So nice to see you. And that's about, a couple more comments here. It says, cheaper to add more appropriate runways than lose people and pay out millions. There's nowhere else to put those runways. This is Los Angeles. We're crammed in. Not as tight as New York City, but just about. Yeah, they still have the old buildings around those runways that are the old Lockheed facilities. Yeah, there's nowhere else. And you have to realize that there's a mountain range called the Verdugo Mountain Range, and then the San Gabriels are behind it. So it's right next to a mountain range. There is no widening or adding. There's no more space. And it's not really the size of the runways that is contributing to the mid-air collision problem. It's that there's too many planes flying at once, and there's not enough air traffic controllers. And it's a very dangerous airport to land at. It's dangerous to take off because of the cross runway. It's just the way it was designed. It was not meant to be a commercial airport. It was just a small airport way, way back in the day. And then eventually, became used by the Air Force and Lockheed. Even in my lifetime. So, yeah, it is a very stressful job. So, there's no way they could expand it to make it safer. It's not even possible. The only thing that would make it safer is if they closed it, and then that would just, put more traffic into LAX. So, and the locals here love the Burbank Airport just because of its convenience. I mean, people get on planes there, and in less than an hour, they're in Las Vegas. So there's planes taking off every few minutes. It's just, you wouldn't even believe the amount of planes that are going to Vegas, and the amount of planes. Oh, here's one now coming that are going to, San Francisco and Oakland and San Jose. But we have a lot of more airlines coming in now. We have Alaska, and we have American and United, and there's FedEx, and there's UPS. We have military. That airport is used all the time when the president is in town. Whatever presidents that come into town, they use that as a setup place for, like, Marine 1 and Marine 2. They don't land, obviously, Air Force 1 there because it's not big enough. But they do use it as a staging area. So, and then you have, all the military aircraft from when Lockheed was in business there, and the secret cargo that was coming in from Area 51, and there's a terrific history there. We don't want the airport to go away. We just want it to be safe. Yeah, because I gotta live underneath the air traffic, and it does get annoying. So thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for modding, Kelly, and nice to see you, Jennifer, if you're still here. I'm gonna sign off for now. I'll see you soon. Bye.